Buckets. That's the name of my boat. Buckets.
Buckets. What we get.
Not the only transfer we got from Florida. Keith Stone, too. Remember that.
Adidas, release this in a hoodie.
You know, we all make mistakes. He might have made one going to
It's
Tallahassee.
mercy if y'all don't know. Dribble to the left, cross over to the right. Hurricane to the game, many buckets for the night. Matt with the pick and roll, Melissa with the give and go. This Shelly, you, pretty girl dunking in the hole. Check the scoreboard, this what we fall for. Beat the gameplay, they want an encore. Yeah, overtime for another round. It's buckets after buckets, baby. You out of time. It's buckets. What it is, homie, it's buckets. Woo! We get buckets. Yeah, baby, buckets.
I have no shame.
I know. That's the problem.
You guys are awesome.
I mean, I dig it.
Intro. I mean, I don't even think we need to say anything else. Best intro on the entire network, in my personal opinion. But
Yeah, I feel like you're biased, but you know, I'm in multiple intros, and I feel like yes, I will share your take there.
But
Oh,
what's up, everyone?
That song is
Welcome.
that's a legitimately good song.
That is a great song. I
that-
hope you all didn't miss that whole thing. If not, y'all need to go back and watch.
I'll throw it on Twitter later, just the intro by itself. But
So will I. But welcome everyone to another episode of Buckets here on Six Ring Canes. Matt's still on his honeymoon, so you're stuck with me.
yeah,
and
we
Vish
did
for the time being.
we did get some pictures from Switzerland, so
Yeah, we did.
Amanda's
but,
traveling.
And he did send us a few things too. But yeah, so maybe he'll be back next week.
I actually have not gotten an estimate on his return to the show, so I don't know. He will be back. He's like Melissa said, he's traveling through Europe and sending us DMs on players, so he's fully locked in.
But like in the middle of the night too. Like he's keeping like my hours, or maybe it's like early morning.
No, I think it's normal there, right? I think your hours are probably. Yeah, I think the both of us are maybe awake at the same time for like 7 or 8 hours a day. Like this is about the only time we overlap, because you're up till like, and I'm usually like at like start working by like 7. So I think we're kind of like just completely different. But this one works. This is a good time to talk some hoops. What do you think?
I think so.
So
what should we talk about first?
Good show planning on.
Should we talk about an actual commit before?
Yeah,
we
let's start with the women.
All
and
the players we were looking in the portal.
Yeah, let's start with the women and Katie Meyer continuing to just cook out there.
Who's texting me?
Any normal person could be texting you. Like, what are we talking about? now you've like opened the door for me to text you during the show and see if I can distract you. But anyway, that's for.
Well, it pops up on my screen, but it popped up for like a second. It's probably, let's see. Edward told me he's cooking Philly cheesesteaks after, but he doesn't know that. Oh, somebody from work. Never mind. It wasn't Edward.
Shout out to our boy here. Batman.
Yo, Tuba Batman.
New recurring guest on Locked On Canes. Awesome.
Yeah,
job,
and if you don't follow CB on Twitter, you should, because he's always posting great things about some football commits and stuff. So follow him. Follow the football show on this network.
Yeah, and I think his show's called "What You Heard Pod," I believe. Put the exact name in the chat so I can share.
He's on the I think it's You Heard Pod.
Yeah, I think so.
He's everywhere. CB's everywhere,
Yep,
and he apparently just got home from work 5 minutes ago. So maybe having the 7 p.m. start time instead of 6 p.m. works well. The thing is, when we do the show on Mondays, we have to do it at 6 p.m. because we always tend to go over like our hour and a half to 2 hour time limit, and then it would interfere with the football show.
Yeah.
So today there's nothing else going on, so we were able to start a little bit later.
Yep. All right, so let's talk about our women's basketball commit. Yeah, man. No, we're all fans of everything you do, really. So happy to plug it.
Just walked in the door. Good stuff.
When you immediately
put your feet up, watch the show, maybe drink a beer.
Or as Melissa drinks some apple juice, that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, it's better than Chick-fil-A. You don't want to hear me crunching on ice the whole show.
I mean, I thought it was funny. I guess not everyone agreed, but I thought it was hilarious.
I didn't realize it was as loud as it was until I
It made the
watched
intro,
show.
so made the intro, so we got that going for us. Yeah, but another big time women's recruit commit, not just recruit,
Yes,
commit.
we have added a second point guard to our 2024 class. Vish, tell us.
Yeah,
Tell us about Leah Harmon.
Yeah, it's Leah Harmon. She's actually local to where I live, not to where I not to where I currently am. I'm actually in Miami right now, but she's local to DC. And yeah, she's like you said, she's a point guard, good shot. I think it's so a good comp for if you've been following the Canes women's program for a while. She reminds me a little bit of Makia Gray, who was a starter, got hurt, came off the bench her last year. She was on the team 2 years ago, then lost to South Carolina. Really good quick release, good off the dribble. She'll be a playmaker. Really another really talented recruit.
Another top 50 player. She's 24th in the class.
ESPN top 25 and 4-star recruit, and then they have a scale of 100. She rates out as a 95. So just an elite talent. And yeah, that is. She's just another one, and she's a 24. We should make clear she's a 24 recruit. So this is so this won't be on next year's team, but the year after. But now.
But we add her with Nate Adams, and we've got 2 dynamic point guards coming in. Nice, Chalupa. I like it.
Glass of wine. Look at the sophistication.
He's way more classier than me. I would pop open a beer. I'm not really a wine drinker, but no. Now we've got 2 top 100 players, point guards coming in, and I actually found a little bit of tape on her. It took me a bit to find some stuff online.
It is unbelievable. I might go on a little rant here, but that you cannot get information. Like, this is a top 25 recruit. It's so hard to find.
I texted Vish and I was just like, have you found anything on her? I mean, I was going through the depths of Google trying to find stuff. I finally found one website that had some videos on it, and every video that I clicked, it was the same one, but at least it was a video that I could watch. But her 3-point range is insane. She's shooting like beyond NBA 3 range, like beautiful stroke. And defensively too, I didn't get to see the tape, but there was things like, 3 steals in a game, 5 steals in a game, like very active hands and a long range shooter. So, and very smart, apparently has a 4.0 GPA, is involved with a lot of things outside of sports as far as like in the community and stuff. So definitely a good person on and off the court to add.
Yeah, I mean, so what I was able to find on terms of like viewing highlights was kind of like, local news produced pieces which like snippets of her playing in it, and that was kind of it. It is very hard to get any kind of information on even high end women's recruits like this, and honestly, it puts a lot of the staff has got to work overtime. You gotta go see kids. It's hard to get film on them. I'm sure like they send out tape to like big time programs like Miami, but still, it's
as far as stats for her as a junior, she averaged 14.4 points per game, 2.4 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and about 2 steals per game. And that's her junior year. But it looks like she played varsity from freshman year on. She was listed as a varsity player as a freshman as well. So
yeah, it's and like
she's
you said,
about 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah, which is a little small, but okay for a point guard in the women's game. I think she'll be fine there. Like you said, we've now got a couple of point guards in that 24 class, and
that can shoot.
Yeah, that can shoot. And then again, like we last year's recruiting class, the 22 class, featured 2 of the best bigs in the country. So you can kind of see.
I couldn't find like a list of who she was between. I did look to see who she had it narrowed down to, but couldn't find anything. I did social medias, but I didn't get that far.
Yeah, I mean we did see her announcement, which is cool. When she picked Miami, that was nice to
she had the shirt on under the zip up hoodie. So
yeah. And she wore a hoodie. I mean, this is. She's playing
good fashion choices.
Yeah, good fashion choices.
And that shirt, I have that shirt that she was wearing too.
There you go.
So,
it's a big time moves again.
Basketball in a bit, Bernard.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the men's team in a minute. We have a lot to go through there in terms of Norwich. Had also Nigel Pack and some of his evaluations as well. But yeah, there's a yeah, we just wanted to spend some time with the women since Katie Meyer continues to clean up. And then I guess we can talk a little bit about the ACC. I forget, what is it? Spring meetings are going on.
They had like ACC interviews. I don't know, where was it?
Were
they in Miami?
No. This was actually the spring meetings for the ACC.
Okay.
And I want to say it was in it was Myrtle Beach or Merritt Island or something. It was on island, so it was definitely not Miami. But they interviewed her and Elle together, which we can probably talk about.
There's that one clip going around that they edited to make it look like they were like trash talking Indiana.
Yeah.
They left out the ending of that clip, but basically, Coach Elle was saying how the Indiana game that the women played was his favorite game, and he's like, "Do you want to know why?" And Coach Meyer was like, "Oh, because you beat him too." And then they played like a meme after, like, "Oh." But Coach Elle goes on to say that the reason why he liked that game the best is because they beat them on Indiana's home floor, because the first 2 rounds of the women's tournament are hosted by like the top seed in that area, in that regional or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So the fact that, it came down to like almost a buzzer beater and they won on Indiana's home court was why that was why it was his favorite. But they cut it off at, "Oh, it was because you beat Indiana also," and then that was the clip. So everyone thought they were like trying to hate on Indiana.
Yes. There it is.
Amelia Island.
Amelia Island. Yeah.
Strong work. Oh, and he's got the Norchad. Is that a Norchad photo, William? Is he as his avatar? Is that Norchad?
It's hard. I mean,
click on it again.
Yes, it is.
That's
yeah. So William is long time.
Obviously a Norchad fan.
Well, he's a big time Hoops fan. I actually know him for Twitter. I recognize the first name, even though he doesn't have his Twitter handle there. He's someone I interact with quite a bit. That's big into the hoops. So yeah.
If anyone's been watching from the start of the show tonight, put in the comments if you enjoyed our new intro.
Yeah, and if you didn't, we'll post it on socials later. But also rewind.
You can also rewatch it.
Yeah, rewatch it later. Get another click.
A whole new song. We got a new logo.
Yeah, we should shout out. Actually, Mercy did the music. If you've watched our other our main show, the football one, then you would have heard his music there as well. But yeah, he's, I guess, now our official official recording artist that does our intros. But yeah, he did an awesome job with the song as well.
And then the logo is kind of a take on the 6-ring Canes logo. We tried to kind of keep it similar to that, but with a little basketball twist. And obviously, Sebastian's wearing a hoodie because why wouldn't he?
I mean, Melissa's been on the network like less than a month and just has permeated everything. Actually, it's been more than a month. Damn. Because it happened right after the Final Four.
Yeah, well, I wasn't officially a co-host.
But it was only a week. It was only a week after. So like the first time you were a guest, by the next week we had.
It wasn't even a week after that I was a guest. Like you had me on that Monday.
Yeah, no, and then it was after the Final Four.
And then the following,
the week you were. So yeah, it's been a month. Been more than a month. Because that was April 1st.
Yep. You had me on the night I started getting that nasty upper respiratory tract. It was a good thing we did it that night and not the next day because I wouldn't have been able to talk.
I feel like if you ever need to talk, you'll manage to do so. Anyway, so.
Well, you saw me the next week. I had to like munch on cough drops to get through the pod. Like
I feel like you would have gotten it done.
Worse.
No,
it was hard.
I don't doubt it was hard. I have full confidence in your ability to verbalize everything and anything at any time. So we're not talking about a mere mortal. We're talking about Hoodie Girl here, who is able to talk through.
I'm repping a Coach Coop hoodie. He's got his own merch. This is his pipe hoodie. He also makes them in t-shirts as well. So if y'all go on his YouTube site, there's a link to buy his merch. Definitely check it out. I own multiple shirts and hoodies from his stuff. So that's my shout out to Coop today.
Yeah,
I'm
shout out / sales pitch for Coach Coop that time. This wasn't just a shout out sales pitch.
I've had this hoodie for a few months now. It's been through the wash a bunch of times, and it's still like it's nice. So, y'all haven't sent me any 5 Reasons Sports merch yet. So, Chulipa went back to watch the intro. Good stuff. Good stuff, CB.
Yep.
All right.
So just on the women, just on so Katie Meyer did anything because I know you also watched the interview, and it was weird because it was like both of them kind of ping ponging questions. Anything stand out to you there that you
I like how Coach Meyer is so hyped for like the sophomore class, like our bigs and stuff, and everyone taking that next step. I think it's just a foreshadowing of how much better our team is going to be next year.
Well, I mean, so better is a lot. I mean, we're going to Cleveland, right? So I guess better is right. But
if I
yeah.
have to dip into my savings to go to Phoenix and Cleveland, I am very much ready to do this.
We'll make it happen. If it's actually possible, like whatever.
Yeah, right.
Money is no option at that point. But
or like go to the ACC tournament or something. Like
I've done that once. It was a Frank Haith team. I will say, it was the only year we made the tournament though. I've talked about this before. My brother did grad school at like Duke, so he was in North Carolina at the time. He's
you sat in the Duke student section.
Yeah, but he's a Miami. He's a Miami through and through. He's not Duke anything.
Yeah,
he went to Miami too for undergrad. So we went to, since it was in Charlotte that year, we kind of drove from Durham, went to the ACC tournament. I will say it's a lot of basketball because it's like back to back games, and then like after
day if you keep advancing.
Yeah, we won the first game, but we had a bye because that was the one year we made the tournament. And then I'll answer your question in a second. I'll answer your question in a second. So we did. Well, you can do either. You can buy a tournament book, or you can buy by session. So you can do like day. You can do day passes as well, and then at least this is how it was when I went. Maybe they've changed it now. Or you can do like afternoon session and evening session separately. We got them through the school, so we bought like all they were selling was the full week.
And for the Final Four, our ticket for like the Final Four game was for both semifinals.
Yeah, I will say one of the weird
things. I thought CB was at the Final Four.
Man, where was you should have met up with us.
I know, right? Could have had good barbecue with us earlier that day. We had it was just like a plow.
I love how you're talking about good barbecue. I had a salad and you had mac and cheese and I
had mac and cheese and like a chicken leg. I was too nervous to eat, but I was starving after the game.
Okay, chicken leg, or you took a peel off of a chicken leg because
I ate the chicken leg and then
that chicken was attacked, man. That was not.
No, it wasn't. I took the skin off. That's what you saw. I don't like eating the skin.
That was mostly a full chicken breast. I
didn't eat much. I ate like a bite of the chicken breast. I was too nervous, man. But you should have seen me inhale the Pizza Hut cheesy bread after the game, man. I was starving.
Yeah, that's why I just went for the salad. I'm like, I'm not gonna be. I ate like half of it, and then I was like, I'm not gonna be able to eat it anyway.
But it was a lot of meat.
Yeah.
But the guys ate it up, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, I met
Yes. Yeah, that is a great picture.
Vish,
the photographer nailed it. The photographer nailed it. I'll just say that about
credit to the photographer. Yep.
Anyway,
CB, where were you sitting at the Final Four? Post where you were sitting.
Yeah.
Vish had good seats. I was in the nosebleeds.
Well, I mean, I paid for him, but
yeah. I overpaid for mine too.
We learned a lot. We learned a lot about where to position yourself to like get maximum value out of those seats. Because fellow co-host Matt, I think, paid quite a bit to sit lower deck, but on the corner, and you couldn't see anything from there.
Yeah,
you'd rather be higher up and then towards the middle, just because.
Shall we talk men's?
Well, I mean, you talked just real quick to wrap up the women's stuff. The coach talked a lot about the sophomore class. I will say, not to pat ourselves on the back, I feel like we got better answers out of her than the ACC people did.
Well, they were kind of going back and forth between her and Coach.
They were, but
hard.
Again, not to pat ourselves on the back, but she was more comfortable with us, so she was like talking specific players.
There was a lot more questions that we wanted to ask too. She had to catch a recruiting dinner, so we only had like 20 minutes with her, and even then we extended it to like 25.
Yeah, but I wonder.
The best part of that interview was the clips that we got from that. Yeah. Like the ending of our intro was like,
awesome. I mean, those are the like Coach Meyer's friendly with us, so we kind of had some fun with her too, and that's what went in there. But I thought, when we asked her,
named Buckets.
Yes, she actually named the show too, right? But I felt like when we asked her, about next year's team, she gave us much better specific. Like this player needs to step up. This player was much more specific. Where for ACC, she just said sophomore class.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm doing is there's a method to my madness.
You should go back and watch that.
Thank you. I threw the alley oop and you slammed it through. There we go.
Yeah. If you guys are new to the Buckets pod, I mean, we haven't been around, but for like a month. I think it was our third pod that I was on.
It's titled. If you go to YouTube, it's titled in their interview. Head coach Kate Meyer kicks the show
first
off.
like 20-25 minutes of that show, which is like 2 hours long. But the first like 20-25 minutes of that show is us interviewing Coach Meyer, and it's a great interview. And I'm not being biased because we ran the interview. You can actually get a lot of good insight into the program and what Coach Meyer expects next season, and about some of we're bringing in 4 transfers next season. So we got a lot of good pieces coming in to fill a lot of pieces that left, and a lot of experience. I mean, you're getting probably one of the best players that was in the transfer portal in Cheyenne Day Wilson coming from Duke. You're getting a girl from Columbia in Jada Patrick who lit us up on our home floor last season. You're getting and then 2 other transfers. I mean, I can keep talking, but a girl from Pepperdine.
Ali Stedman.
Ali Stedman, a girl from Pepperdine who I think probably will back up Jasmine, probably.
Yeah, she'll be on the wing.
Shooter.
So will Hilton.
Yeah,
they'll both be on the wing.
Then,
Hilton's the other one from Arizona. And
then a freshman from Arizona who didn't get a ton of playing time, but I think is going to develop really well.
She was also a top 50 recruit and just didn't really work out.
Didn't get a lot of playing time. Yo, Miami Flo in the
myth,
house.
the legend here. Yes.
Right? I'm saying. Flo wants to learn more about basketball. He's a football guru, but we can teach him a few things coming from the hoops experts over here on the Buckets pod.
Yeah. There you go. Embrace it. But just to Melissa's point, if you want to get a little bit more on like some specifics around the women's team, like our interview actually goes into a lot more detail than the one that they did on that they did on ACC Network. So make sure you
thanks, Flo.
Yes, we'll continue to do that. And I agree with the comma, I guess. I don't know. What are your thoughts on commas?
Commas? I think they're a bit overrated. I like the semicolon better.
That's true.
The semicolon is not used efficiently. But yeah. I don't think you expected me to answer that like that.
I mean, I'm good with the semicolon, but then I feel like if you force it in there, I mean, I feel like sometimes we use too many commas when we should use semicolons. I agree with that. If it's a compound sentence, use a semicolon to break it up.
Oh, Tech Corp wants to talk NBA. Vish is a Dallas Mavericks fan, so we're not allowed to talk the Miami Heat on here.
You can talk about the Heat if you want to answer his question. This is the Canes Hoops pod, but Melissa, you are.
I hope Scott Foster's not officiating the game tomorrow. But I will say the Heat definitely need to win one of those first 2 games in Boston, because if we come back down to Miami down 0-2, that's going to be a very hard road to win the East. But we'll see. I'm just happy that the Heat and Panthers aren't playing on the same night. They're opposite.
Yeah,
so like the Heat play tomorrow and the Panthers play Thursday. So they're on opposite days. So it's a little bit less stress for me in one evening. So that's nice.
Yeah. And the other thing is there are multiple, if you're looking for Heat coverage, there are a lot of shows on this network.
There's a lot of Heat shows within the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So we don't want to jump on their space.
Well, that, and I don't think I'm capable. You're capable of.
Sorry, CB.
Oh, well,
CB's a Knicks fan.
I mean,
actually, I'm really not sorry, but you're a cool dude, so I'll say it just to be nice. Y'all need to get rid of Julius Randle.
You want Kyrie?
He doesn't know how to show up in the playoffs. All right, let's talk men's. Should we talk about a little bit of G League Elite Camp?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's start with that, kind of our existing.
There was a comment about Norchad being.
Yep. I'll pull it back. Yep.
So they did some like official measurements, I guess, at the G League camp and at the combine. So apparently Norchad only measured 6'5.5" without shoes on, and Jordan Miller only measured 6'4.5" without shoes on.
I mean, that doesn't necessarily surprise me. I don't know if it surprises you.
I mean, I know they're like they overestimate height, but that's a lot.
Well, I think it is and it isn't, because we're not the only team doing it. So I feel like, we're playing the 6'5" center, but the 6'9" center he's playing against is actually 6'7". So it's just, I feel like it doesn't surprise me that they play with shoes on. So
yeah, that's true.
So
and
there's
Norchad got the comments back that he needs to develop his outside shot, which
I will say that they were at the G League like you said, the G League Combine, which does bring with it the possibility to get invited to the NBA Combine.
Invited, yeah.
Neither of them were, which
Mhm.
I know there's been a lot of.
Which is Norchad and Nigel.
Yeah, those were the
Yeah.
two that kind of put their
Mhm.
name in that maintain eligibility, and so I know there's been a lot of nerves when that happened. I'd be pretty surprised if they went
Left.
pro to try to get to the G League, because that's really the ceiling right now, more to play overseas somewhere. So
Yeah.
and Coach L, we talked about that interview. Coach L did kind of talk about them coming back, and he didn't sound worried about it at all.
And we've kind of said that we expect both of them to come back. So, but I mean, they pretty much said what we already knew, is that Norchad's not going to be a center in the NBA, and that he's going to be like a forward, and he needs an outside shot. So
yeah, so we have a list. So I wanted to ask you about that, because we are we obviously, I think that's what we've been saying too. We agree with that evaluation. Like at that height, even if he was 6'7", like you're not playing center in the NBA. And frankly, the power forward position in the NBA is not a low post position. It is a stretch four. God, I should say stretch four, but it's a stretch four position.
You said it first. Everybody take a shot. Stretch four drinking game.
I know, stretch four drinking game. And then if we can get DJ in here, talk tight ends.
Nigel did.
I thought he was there, right? I think they both were there.
I think he was there, yeah.
Although
Wong and Miller were the only ones invited to the combine.
Yeah. Although Bill Herney knows his stuff, so maybe we mixed that up. There were definitely workouts that Nigel was doing.
Yeah, he was doing workouts.
Yeah. I thought that was at the G League camp. If it wasn't, then either way, neither of them really. I felt.
I'd be curious to how tall he is without shoes on.
Who, Nigel?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way he's at 6
He's
feet,
listed
right?
at 6 feet, so
yeah, so he's got to be 5'10", 5'11".
He's like standing up really straight.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could have measured him without shoes off when his shoe exploded in the Final Four, but
oh my God, the overreactions to the shoe thing. Gosh, don't bring that up. That's a horrible memory.
I mean, the whole game is a blur.
Yeah, it was bad.
Anyway,
but
so
we were there. So that's what counts.
Yeah, and we'll be there next year in Phoenix. But
so, needless to say,
well, let me ask you his question.
Before, we're expecting them both back.
Yeah, but let me ask you his question now. So he needs to work on his shooting. Norchad, and we obviously not Nigel. Nigel does not need to work on his shooting. Norchad needs to work on his shooting, though.
I mean, if he wants to, maybe develop like a 45 to 50% chance.
Yeah, I mean, if he can pull up from half court too and knock those down, then we don't have to cross half court. We can just stay back on defense. He can just dribble up to the half court line and drop it in. That'd be easier offense.
Let the defense rest for possession and have them shoot from the logo.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, in 20 years, that's what basketball is, to be honest with the rate. But anyway,
they'll have like a 5-point shot.
Yeah, but back to Norchad. So if he again, we're assuming he's coming back. If he plays center here, he doesn't necessarily have the opportunity to do what he needs to do to improve his draft stock. So given that. Right now, I think we know for the starters, and we can talk about.
Is this why you sent me names of centers to look at?
Yeah, sort of, and there were some of the top-rated players in the pool.
I didn't. If it was a center, I didn't look at them honestly.
Oh man,
you'll go through. I looked at some other.
Well, not just centers though, because some of the names that you had sent me to, like kind of the bigger around the. We talked about Van Allen last week, like some of those kind of interior power forwards as well.
Forwards, yeah.
Yeah, would you? I mean, what are your thoughts on if that is because right now we don't. I mean, right now, and we can talk about what Coach L talked about, which was kind of starting, Bensley and Nigel and Wooga and Cleveland and Norchad was what he listed.
As of right now.
That's obviously the starting. That'd be the starting line. But I guess what are your thoughts on if the best player we can get out of the portal right now is a big that play, whether it's a center or power forward, whatever. That plays closer to the basket and Norchad kind of stretching out.
I mean, I keep saying like you said with my stretch four obsession. I keep saying I would like a stretch four, someone that can kind of play both, that has like a good post up game, but it can also spread the floor to give Norchad kind of a chance to do both. Because I think it would help him to work a little bit on his post up game too. I mean, he's a muscle guy, so I would like him to have an inside presence, but he needs to develop a mid-range to 3-point game. I keep saying I don't want us to have a true center. I just don't think that's our game right now. It's going to clog the floor. I want someone who can stretch the floor more. There's a couple guys I actually looked at that we'll talk about later that I also like. We talked about a guy from Tennessee last week, Kamwa, who's another stretch forward, typical stretch forward type guy that's like 6'9". But I would love to bring in somebody with height that can do what I want Norchad to do as well, and then we can just kind of have two
kind of interchange
forwardish stretch guys that you can kind of interchange, and one can be down low, one can be outside, and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean,
Norchad's 256 with 9% body fat. Norchad is a specimen.
Yeah, no, he is, but apparently not a tall one. Or not as tall as we thought. 6'5" is quite tall for a normal human.
I mean, how much height do shoes give you? Do they give you like a whole inch?
I mean, I think basketball shoes do, right? Because they tend to have the thicker soles, and for stability. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, we got to obviously. I think we need another starter in the portal, and I guess that'll shake out the roster. I don't have an issue getting a center and playing Norchad at the 4, provided that
he
center
does what we say he needs to do.
Well, that he's athletic too. Like, I don't want.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's not going to be a center. It's going to be a stretch 4.
But you can have an athletic center, is I guess what I'm getting at. And
yeah, but then is he going to clog the paint? Because no one's going to honor Norchad on the outside.
Well, but again, if he's to improve his shooting so that they have to.
Yeah.
I will say the thing he really needs to work on, and actually Matt and I talked about this a little bit, is his stroke is actually okay. It's his release is so slow. He's got to just get better at. I
mean, wasn't he 2 for 3 and threes in one game?
Well, I'll tell you this because
he started a game with a 3.
Yeah, no, he did that a few times. Because I'll tell you what happens. I think I've told the story in the show before, but we have new listeners and stuff. But if you watched him in warm-ups, because I went obviously quite a few games by the end of the year, but he would stand. Well, I also went to the FSU game. We won't talk about that, but he'll stand at the 3-point line and shoot like 10 or 15 in a row. And if it goes in, he'll open the game because no one covered him. And he would get the ball at the top of the key pretty routinely to start our offense. Yeah. And if he was hitting them in warm-ups, he would shoot it. Like against Drake, I saw him make 10 in a row in warm-ups that he bricked the opening shot of the game. But that was part of his warm-up routine. Well, yeah, part of his routine was to kind of stand there at the top of the key and shoot threes. And I think if he can get his shot better, he's athletic enough to play on the perimeter. He's very mobile. He'll take the ball out on a rebound and lead the fast break. He's a good passer. Like, I think he can actually play on the perimeter if he can get his shot better. And I'm not averse to having him do some of that. So, I mean, if the best player we can get is plays closer to the basket, I think Norchad could potentially stretch out the defense. He's got to get better at shooting, but I think he's going to have to work on that anyway.
But I mean, he definitely needs to, and it's something we got to see who else they bring in too. Do we want to address this, or are we still talking Norchad? Okay, so
I think it's related.
Yeah, so we had talked about Jordan Dingle a bunch on the show the last 2 weeks, who we would have loved to get, but unfortunately he committed to St. John's in this past week, so he's not coming here. I've kept saying that we need to bring in a taller shooting guard. Right now, Bensley is our projected second guard starting, but I keep saying this, that I think he's best being our sixth man and coming off the bench, because I just think him and Nigel on the floor is a defensive liability because they're really short.
Yeah,
they're listed at 60. Bensley is an elite defender. Nigel's not a great defender. He does his best, but I just think we're going to get taken advantage of with guards that are likely south of 6 feet on the floor.
I do wonder, though, like, I mean, we can say, and Coach Al can talk about Bensley, if we actually had to run it out right now in an ACC schedule, I have a feeling Christian Watson is starting. You cannot play that small.
How tall is Watson?
Was he 6'7", I want to say? 6'6"?
Is he 6'7"?
Like I thought he was.
Okay, it's time to Google.
Yes, this is high quality. Let me talk about Luis's comment here. I don't see that. I know we tend to, after the Jimmy Graham experiment, I know Eric Swope, did I think was camped with the Colts and stuff, but I think Norchad's a basketball player. I don't think he's a football player. And I will say, being a backup NBA player,
He is 6'7".
you'll get paid more, and
Uh-huh.
you will avoid the brain damage. And I think I think if you tell most, especially someone like Norchad, hey, you can have a longer career in the NBA as a backup, or even be the best tight end in football. Most of them would take the NBA, and I don't really see that, because I think for sure he can play overseas, and you can make a very good
Mhm.
living doing that. And he's a basketball
Yeah.
player, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
He
I
was
think you'd have
actually a
to.
baseball player first.
Right, and I think yeah, no, that maybe if he can pitch, get him out there this weekend. But we will be at the Duke game, so on Thursday. But I think generally speaking, if the players that, and Jimmy Graham's obviously an exception, that he was an elite NFL tight end, but the ones that even try it are generally the ones that do not have a basketball future. I think Antonio Gates
Mhm.
is another one. Um,
If Norchad develops outside shot, I think he has a
yeah,
basketball future.
I think
If
he
he's super
probably does,
athletic.
and he probably does in Europe anyway. And you
Mhm.
can make a lot of money for a long time, depending on which European league you get into. If you get into one of the
Yeah.
top ones, you'll make a lot of
So,
money doing that.
but
And
as far as like the shooting guard situation,
yep.
um, I still think we bring somebody else in.
Well, I think we're trying to now. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that, because there's kind of slim pickings at this point, right? I mean,
Mhm.
now the portal's still open. In fact, one of the guys we want to talk about entered, I believe, today, and it's Cam McCormacking it. So we'll talk about him for sure.
Oh, you know
Uh,
what? I never actually looked him up. I forgot to look
okay,
him
all
up. You
right,
sent me
all
that.
right. Well,
You sent me that, and he like committed in like 2015 or
yeah,
something.
no, this is this is
Insane.
this is so this kid's name is Seth Towns. So he went to Harvard, um, played there for 2 years, was one of the best mid-major players in the country, was choosing between Duke and Ohio State to transfer to, got injured. Um, this is true as well. They don't play football in Nicaragua. Also, Norchad speaks Spanish, and the best league in Europe is in Spain, so he can seamlessly transition over there. But anyway, if he can do the NBA, but let's get back on Seth Towns here. So he averaged double figures, was one of the best mid major. So he was coveted. Like, what are you doing at
Mhm.
why are you going to that loser school, Harvard? Come play basketball somewhere else. So he hurt his knee though, at Harvard towards the end of his career there. But he was still a big time recruit. Decided between Duke and Ohio State. He's from Columbus. Went to Ohio State and then messed his back up over there. So he barely even played at Ohio State. And he just entered the portal again. As Melissa said, he committed to Harvard in 2015. That is not misprint.
He's 25.
He's 25.
Right?
He's going to be 26 when the season kicks off. And he's apparently has unclear. He's got at least 1 year of eligibility, maybe 2, depending on how the NCAA treats his medical issues. But he's only suited up in 3 seasons. So yeah, he's if you can somehow get, and I don't know if this player is still there, to be honest, because he's been injured so much. But if you get the Harvard version, I mean, he's a starting shooting guard in the ACC for sure. Because that was Duke wanted him to be that player for them. So
the other option we had talked about is moving Wooga to the 2 and getting a 4, which is also a possibility.
Well, and that's why I asked the question about moving Norchad to the 4 and getting a 5 as a possibility. Because there seems to be a lot more.
It's a matter of, Nigel's the point guard. Cleveland's going to play the 3 or the 4 depending on what we do. Wooga's going to play the 2 or the 3 depending on what we do. Like, Nigel's starting, Wooga's starting, Omir's starting, Cleveland's starting. So our 5th starter, it kind of is going to determine where everybody plays.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things, you're absolutely right. Those 4 are definitely starting.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because we have so many versatile players. It's not necessarily we need position X. Like like you said, if you get a power forward, then everyone's sliding over. Wooga's playing the 2, Cleveland's playing the 3. If you get a shooting guard, they're sliding the other direction. So
and then we play small ball.
And then if we get a 5, I think Norchad will slide to the 4, and it'll probably be.
I don't think we get a 5. I think if we're gonna get height, it's gonna be a stretch 4 or a 5 that can shoot the 3, like Kevin Love or something. A player like that.
I think I mean, this is cliche. We're gonna get the best player we can and figure it out. I don't think we're married to a certain. It has to be exactly.
I
this
know. I
type
think
of
it's not
player.
necessary. It's the best fit. We're gonna get the best fit. El knows what he's doing.
But I think I guess what I'm saying is I think a lot of stuff could potentially fit, including as long as there's athleticism there and they're mobile.
UConn bullied us. UConn bullied us because we couldn't make shots. We had no problem playing against bigger teams the entire year. We beat Duke with 2 7-footers on their team.
Yeah, I mean,
our
it's
small ball was very dependent on us making shots, and we were just
Yeah.
not making shots. And so UConn was able to play their game the whole game instead of having to adjust to us. And so that's what happened.
Yeah,
You're not going to run into a Sonogo type player every game.
But we did in the ACC, and we didn't have really issues with it, to Melissa's point, because we were able to. So basically, the way we played, I should say, because we'll see this year, is we always knew it was going to be a style contrast, and we were going to force our style onto the other teams, and because, as Melissa said, we didn't score, we didn't make shots, we weren't able to force UConn out of their game. And yeah, if they're able to keep their bigs on the court, then we're not going to play against. I mean, I think a good thing is to look back 2 years ago against Auburn, 2 NBA first-round draft picks were their bigs. We played them off the court. They had to bench Kessler because he could not guard Jordan Miller, and we just couldn't. Yeah, but I mean, we missed 14 layups, and you got to wonder what the game looks like.
Yeah, we were not hitting shots at all, and then Nigel didn't play for like 10 minutes in the second half because he had a broken shoe, and it was like a whole thing.
And Wooga obviously got a little overwhelmed there. So there was a lot of stuff that went wrong in that game. But
with such a good core coming back next season, assuming we make it to the Final Four again, you don't see us play that uncomfortable again. Because now you've got 3 starters and our 6th man who have all been there before, and some freshmen that are now going to be sophomores that watched all of this go down. That's not going to happen again.
I'm smiling because I'm just like loving how casually you threw in there. Assuming we make it to the Final Four again, like we've done it once.
I said assuming we.
I know, but it was so casual, and like I didn't even blink at it. I'm like, wow, we were really got to another level here. Because that would be like an insane statement a year ago at this time. But anyway,
you can go back and play this next year if we make the Final Four.
Oh no, it's not. The reason I was smiling is because it's not delusional.
It's not though.
I know, that was my point. That's why I was smiling.
I think I mean obviously next year I think the team to beat in the ACC is going to be Duke because they're returning so many players that could have gone to the NBA.
Yeah, you know what? Screw them though. Anyway,
yeah, no, but you can't discount them. Like Duke is going to be a very good basketball team next year.
I will discount them and their boy coach. Coach Circles around that fool. We almost beat them without Norchad in the ACC tournament. Get out.
We should have beat them even without
Norchad.
Like, that was my second most heartbreaking loss last year.
Okay,
you know what the first one was, obviously.
I'm assuming it was UConn, but where's FSU going on this? Because that was
a regular season game.
I know, but
it's irrelevant to me. And then we just sold our best player, so I feel like we got revenge.
I know. A Miami Hurricane did hit the game-winning shot in that game, so just wasn't wearing that jersey yet. Just wasn't wearing that jersey yet. Yes, let's talk. I guess we can talk through some of these others. So Towns is definitely one I looked at, the guard position. Another one I looked at there. Yeah, go for it.
Can we talk about a player who I don't necessarily think we should go after, but I just like the name and that's why I sent it to you?
Is this Supreme Cook, who I couldn't find anything on but his name?
I couldn't find much on him either. He's a junior. He played at Fairfield. His name is Supreme Cook. And the only reason why I bring it up is because his name, I follow a bunch of like hoops Twitter sites that talk about who's entering the transfer portal. And I saw this pop up and I saw his name was Supreme. And I immediately sent it to Vish because I was like, oh, look at this name. He would fit in perfectly with the names.
Yeah, I'm definitely into the whole
people
name
are forgetting
game.
That Norchad. Yeah, Norchad might be short, but he can bully people.
No, he can definitely rebound. I think it's a question. So the reason I actually led the conversation off with that question to Melissa was, we know what he can do, and on the college level, he can definitely play center. And he proved it, like you said, led the tournament in rebounds. Also, like, we won the ACC with him playing center. So, like, I don't think there's any question he can do that at the college level. That's not going to help him at the pro level. And so, like, if he's gonna develop his shot and essentially become a stretch four, which is what you have to play at the next level, does it make sense for us to then get someone that plays closer to the basket and him stretch out the court if we think he can do that?
But that's why I'd rather get someone who can also do both.
Yeah, no, I think I'm on the same page with you there. But to the point, I don't think there's any question that Norchat at the college level is an elite center. He does.
There's actually a guy.
He's a double-double machine.
Yeah, there's actually a guy I was looking at, a name I think you had sent to me, or maybe I sent it to you. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Actually, another guy from Tennessee. I was watching a bit of his tape earlier, who I thought could be a nice 4-5 combo.
You're gonna have to say the name because half of Tennessee's team went into the portal, so I don't know which one you're talking about.
So we talked about Olivier Conwa last week, who was
last week,
a stretch four. He was a freshman. They also have another freshman, Julian Phillips, who also entered the transfer portal. So I'm interested to know what's going on at Tennessee. Because you had asked me last week, why did this guy enter the portal if they made the Sweet 16? But now they've had like 4 people enter the transfer portal. So I'm not sure what's going on at Tennessee.
Well, Julian, go ahead.
Sorry, Julian Phillips is a freshman, 6'8", 200 pounds. He's a forward. He's a bit of also a stretch forward. I think his post game's a little bit better than his outside shot. I think it's something that he could work on. But he did shoot 24% from 3, and he's not afraid to shoot. The problem is his consistency with it. I was watching tape on him, and some of his threes are beautiful, and then some of them are just completely off and like air balls. But again, he's only a freshman.
Overall, I'm concerned with his shooting. He only shot 41% from the field.
He's only a freshman.
Yeah, no, he's gonna do a lot of development.
Did you watch some of his like under the rim game?
I actually watched
really good
every
passer.
play we're going to talk about. I watched highlights of, but I actually did research this time.
You had time today.
Well, the time I was going to spend sitting in the car trying to get to your place to do this in person, I watched YouTube videos instead. Here. Let me ask you a question on Phillips. So we're talking. Do you think he's an automatic starter here? Because I don't.
I don't know.
Not based on what I've seen.
I think Conwa is more of an automatic starter over Phillips. But I like his potential.
Yeah. I think I would absolutely take. He's a take. No doubt he's a take. But when we're talking about, all right, like for example, when Cleveland committed, no doubt that kid is starting. Like that is a no-brainer starter. I don't view Phillips that way. I think
Conwa is an automatic starter. We talked about him last week.
Yeah.
Phillips, I think, as coming in as a sophomore, I would love to add him for his potential, but no, I think right now he's a depth piece.
But but maybe he can develop.
If he can get his shooting better, he would be great because he's very active around the rim, really good off of like ball screens and stuff, and cutting and getting rebounds and all of that stuff, like defensively. But yeah, he does need to work on his shooting a little bit, but there's potential there to be a good like stretch 4-ish type player.
Yeah, he's 6'8", and can't shoot. I'm a little concerned about what his.
But he's not afraid to shoot, so I think.
All right. Well. I mean, so I'm gonna do a comp here. See a little Anthony Walker in this kid.
No.
Because I did watch his, like you said, he's very athletic around the rim. Like he's explosive. Like athleticism jumps out at you. You can see why he was a big type recruit. I think we should state like his performance last year did not meet his potential.
Yeah, he was a 5-star out of high school.
Yeah, no, he was a massive recruit, and I see a lot of athleticism, and I also see a lot of poor shot choices and misses. And
coaching.
I mean, we had Anthony Walker for how long? I just saying, when I saw his, and again, you're right, he's just been a freshman. I would, like I said, absolutely a take. If we can develop his game, then he could be a stud, right? But if you ask me what he was when I saw what he did at Tennessee last year, I was like, that kid's very similar to Anthony Walker. And
well, you also got to wonder why are so many people leaving that program.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like there's something else going on there. Maybe Rick Barnes sucks. I don't know, but I do you dispute that there's a lot of Anthony Walker in this kid based on what we saw? I'm not talking about potential and upside and that kind of stuff. And he's only going to be a sophomore, and there's a lot of time to develop him. I'm just talking about what you saw because I know you also.
No, because I think he's got a better around the rim game.
I think Anthony Walker should have if he would go stand next to the basket.
Anthony Walker didn't do that. This kid does. So
he did oddly against Duke when Norchad got injured. All of a sudden, he like almost took that game over. Anyway, do you want to move on to someone else?
We mentioned Supreme Cook for like 3 seconds. I only mentioned him because
I mean, I don't really have an evaluate. I don't think he's a Miami caliber player, to be honest, but he's definitely a Miami caliber name.
Did you look at any tape on the guy out of Creighton, Paluma?
Yep, he's definitely more around the rim as well. So he's kind of one of the ones.
Though.
Yeah, but
31% from 3.
Yeah, he's one of the ones I was kind of thinking of. You know, he's kind of an in between. Is he someone that you can play next to Norchad? You talked about those interchangeable. You know, maybe I think he kind of fits that mold a little bit. I don't know if you have thoughts there.
I liked his game for the most part. I was a little bit worried about just him. Like, he has a decent post-up game, but sometimes it looks like he was trying to like decide what he wanted to do and like dribbling too much. He's got a decent shot. He'll spot up and shoot. He was 31% from 3. But I liked his defense. He's very active down low.
So the one thing I would say about the 31%, he can certainly shoot better than like what some of these other bigs we're going to talk about or power forwards can shoot. But when I watched this film, a lot of it was uncovered, and shooting 31% when you're kind of being left open isn't great.
Well, I mean, you're only seeing like a couple shots per game. I mean,
are you claiming the 2-minute highlight clip I viewed did not perfectly encapsulate his entire game?
Do they ever?
I was being sarcastic once.
No, I liked his game. His game.
No, I do as well.
He's 6'7".
I think he is I think to your point, I think he is a starter. If he were to
he's
come
6'7",
in
225, so he's another like kind of like muscle guy.
Yeah, he's apparently taller than Norchad. He's probably actually the same height, but but I think he was kind of, like I said, I think he's one of those kind of ones that you can, you know, be a little bit positionless with Norchad. They're both kind of playing forward/center, and they can kind of rotate in and out of who's playing more under the basket. So yeah, I like him. I think he's got a. Now I guess we should say there's no indication that he's interested.
Yeah, we don't know. We're just finding names to talk about people. The only one we know, we talked about Van Allen Lubin last week, who took a visit to Miami.
I haven't seen any update on him.
But I haven't seen any update on him. Everyone else we're talking about is just us talking about guys in the portal that may or may not be good fit.
Well, there's the North Dakota State.
Grant Nelson, who's like the unicorn. Miami did reach out to him. He has like a long list of teams that have reached out to him, but he's going to participate in the NBA Combine.
So I will say he did his
so we don't know.
Apparently the next couple of days is when they do 5-on-5, but apparently he blew them away in the individual drills. He was the only one that broke like sub 10 seconds in the shuttle. I think he's gone. Yeah. He wants to go to the NBA. He's made that clear, and I mean,
this is like Nelson and Dingle. We were so high on them, and Dingle already committed to St. John's, and Nelson probably going to the NBA. So, oh well. What are some of these centers you were sending me?
Well, I sent you a lot of stuff, so I'm a little disappointed you didn't look at them. No, I'm just kidding.
I ignore the centers.
I know if it's not a stretch four, you don't have time for it. So there is the kid out of Kansas. Ernest Uday. He's definitely more of a traditional. He's a big kid.
You like his name?
What happened?
You like his name? Does he fit your name requirements?
Oh, I forgot my bit. I think so, because I think we put him. I think Uday works next to Norchad. Now he is from Orlando, so he's kind of local. Ties to the state at least. I mean, what are you gonna do? Go to Florida? If you're going to school in the state of Florida, do you want to play at a big time program? You got to go to Miami now. So, you know, he went to Kansas, so he's that caliber player. Like, he was at Kansas. He's a more of a traditional center, so he's one that you would slide Norchad to the 4 for, which I know you have a problem with. I take him for the talent, and I think we just play.
I'm just not trying to clog the paint.
I don't think we clog the paint. I think we tell Norchad to play on the perimeter, at least offensively. Defensively, is different.
I don't think people are going to guard him all the way out there.
Then I think he needs to shoot it and make it if he wants to play in the NBA.
Yeah, well, he's got to prove it first. So that's what worries me.
Yeah,
but he's only a freshman, Uday, right? He was a freshman.
Yeah, he's another one that big time recruit did not play that much. But yeah, again, he's from Florida. I think if we can get him, he would start at center and you slide Norchad over. I think that's the move there. As I see you scowl at me, how dare you break our small ball? But you know what? Like I said,
you're kind of forced to do that until Norchad like develops that outside game and you can stretch the floor with him.
I think that's
to have two big guys down low is not.
I think you tell Norchad to go shoot, and I think if they're not going to cover him, let him keep shooting. I don't really have an issue with that. Eventually, the ball will go in.
And then we have other shooters. I mean, Cleveland can shoot. Nigel can shoot. Woodley can shoot. We'll see. Bensley, hopefully his shot gets better. And then I guess we see if we pick up a shooting guard. I don't even know. We don't know who's taking that fifth spot right now.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Now another kind of big that I let that again. No idea if this is more of a power forward is Obina Anyanwu from Cal. He again is not really going to stretch the floor out. He's 6'7", so he's probably 6'5".
I couldn't find a lot of info on him.
Yeah, he was a big time recruit out of San Diego.
He didn't really play.
He did not play a lot, but he did improve a lot from year 1 to year 2, just in the limited playing time. He did. I guess he appeared a lot. He didn't play a lot of minutes. He was fringe on their rotation, but I mean, I think he's another probably similar to what we're talking about with Phillips. Not going to automatically start. He's someone that would have to earn a spot, but. Again, I'm looking at Norchad needing to improve his shot, and if we're going to give him the opportunity to do that, someone else has to go stand next to the basket, and I think this is someone that can do that. And I think also Ernest Uday is someone that can do that. Now, the alternative is we tell Norchad to keep standing next to the basket and go get another guard or power forward or someone.
Yeah.
I
guess it depends. There's
a couple of guards. There's a couple of guards I want to talk about too. Yeah,
DeMarco
Dunn. Yep. Did you get a chance to take a look at him?
Sophomore guard from UNC, 6'5", 190.
Yeah, he was a
4-star.
Yeah, and he's got a really smooth release, good catch and shoot guy. He'll stretch the floor for sure. That whole program imploded last year.
He didn't play a lot last year.
That program was such a disaster. The talent is there.
They were ranked at the top to start the season and didn't even make the tournament.
And then they refused to play in the NIT, as all good programs do.
Or you could be Clemson and be a 1 seed in the NIT and get knocked out in the first round.
Is Edward listening yet?
I'm sure he is. That's why I said it.
Because I feel like that was a comment for one person. Anyway.
Yeah. He's gonna go make his Philly cheesesteaks now because I said that.
But anyway, yeah. So DeMarco Dunn's a kid I think is probably a starter. And it's probably the one you plug in at the 2 guard because he can shoot and stretch the floor. I am a little worried though. If you go with someone like that, he hasn't shown a lot of playmaking. We are talking about kind of plugging in for, say,
I don't know.
I know that's a high bar. And
there's not a lot of tape on him because he didn't get a lot of playing time. So it's hard to judge what he really can do. He shot 33% from 3, 43% from the field, but he only played 10 minutes per game. So
yeah, and I did watch his film. And like you said, it wasn't a lot, but he's very smooth catch and shoot with the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
And I think
good in transition, he can handle, but there's not a lot of there's quality tape, but the quantity is not humongous. So
I guess what are your thoughts?
I would like to. Well, if we're gonna get a shooting guard, like another guard to play next to Nigel, I want someone taller, and he fits the mold. He's 6'5", almost 200 pounds. He has the ability. Obviously, he went to UNC. UNC's not. I know they didn't make the tournament this last year, but they're usually a basketball powerhouse. So he's got to have some skill and potential to have gotten recruited to UNC. Like I said, I just don't like the idea of having Bensley and Nigel starting. I think it's just too small. So I would like to get another guard, or you slide Wugga over and you get another 4.
Well, let's talk about the kind of last I think the last guard I sent you, who we played against this year. Well, I guess we played against Dunn as well, but Ian Martinez, the kid from Maryland.
Yeah.
I think.
Tell me.
Well, I mean, he's not 6'5", he's 6'3".
Yeah.
But I think much more
So
of a
probably like
complete.
6'1" or 2.
Well, I think he's much more of a complete basketball player, and does fit kind of what Zay did a little bit more than
Mhm.
maybe Dunn does. He played more, not as did not start. He was actually, I think one of the reasons he transferred is he was kind of penciled in as starter and then did not get to start. And I think that was
Yeah.
part of his frustration. This
Yeah,
is
he
second
only
time.
got like 17 minutes a game last year. I'm just looking. 40% from 3.
Yeah, no, he can
80% from the
shoot
field. No, he
from
didn't
free
really
throw.
shoot. Yeah.
From free throw. 80% from the field.
and
It's like, yeah, bring that
he's
kid in.
he's a junior, but I think he has 2 more years of eligibility because I think one of those years is a COVID year.
Yeah, I think the first year was a COVID year, the year he spent at Utah. The
Yeah.
other thing is, turning into the skid entirely. Dude's from Costa Rica. Now, I mean, come on, man. You get a Nicaraguan
He
next to a
fits the
Costa
international
Rican.
vibe.
Yeah, I mean, we've had luck with Central America, so let's go one
Yeah.
deeper there. And but I do think he's gonna be more of like, if you're and the I guess the problem here I see is he definitely fits Zay's mold more. He'll be able to do more shot making, creation. He's obviously
Well,
not
we've
that.
seen more from him than we have from Dunn.
Yeah, I guess my question to you, this is more of a general question. So we're talking about going to Phoenix, right? Again, that's the standard we have set now as a program. You're not going to. This is why I brought up potentially like getting a big and stretching out with Norchad or trying to figure something else out there, is because are we not at risk of running it back, but with worse players? Because, I mean, if you think about, we get another shooting guard, they're not going to be Isaiah Wong. I love Cleveland. He's not Jordan Miller. Aren't we just running the same, like a worse version of? I guess the counter to that would be Wooga gets better. AJ Casey gets better, so we have multiple bigs.
But you don't know what these guys are going to do until they're in the system.
I agree. No, I mean, I'm not giving up on the season or anything. I'm just saying, like, is it running it back with kind of a worse version of the same team going to get us further? Maybe it does, though. Like, to your point, it could.
Is it really a worse version, though?
I think I would definitely. I mean, okay, let's say we get. I guess we don't know who's going to fill out the roster, but if it's another shooting guard, are they going to be better than the ACC Player of the Year?
Yeah, but how do you know what, like, maybe Watson develops? And
well, this is what I'm saying. Like, the counter to that would be, that Nigel takes a step because he started off the year slow, right, and then he got going, so he'll be good to go from the beginning. You would assume.
Wooga's going to take another step.
Wooga gets better, Bensley gets better, Watson makes an impact. AJ Casey's a big one if he gets better, because then you have multiple bigs you can actually put on the court versus can we survive 5 minutes without Norchad? No, damn it.
Yeah.
Right. That could be a plus player.
I mean, we haven't discussed it now, but like if Van Allen Lubin comes to Miami, is he a starter?
I mean, I think right now with the current roster, he probably would be.
As a 4.
Yeah, I think, but he's another one that's more around the rim, right? So he's another one that we talked about. Unless you're looking at me like I'm wrong, but I feel like I distinctly remember us both saying he occupies the same floor space as Norchad.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry. We talked about so many people that I can't.
I know, but I do think.
Yeah, my questions was his jump shot. He's another Norchad.
Maybe he's one where again Norchad gets the opportunity to shoot more jumpers. So that's And you know what? If that is something that, so I guess the reason I asked the original question about playing a center and stretching Norchad out is, I do think if we try to just recreate last year, we're not going to be able to do that. It's got to be a little different. And one of the ways it's different, but one of the ways it's different is, hey, like let's go back to UConn smashed us, right? Which they did. That's a fair statement. We can talk about why. So
you're thinking maybe bring in more of a traditional 5 and
not even necessarily, not necessarily even that, but maybe it's a power forward that plays around, like someone like Van Allen Lubin is definitely not a 5, right? But he plays more around the rim. No. Norchad stretches it out. Who's their center going to guard? right? I mean, that this is again, you can kind of do a different version of it
Mhm.
because unlike and Jordan Miller was awesome. We love Jordan Miller, right? And that's how he broke teams because we can't leave our bigs on the court because they can't guard this guy, right? It's a different
Yeah.
way of doing that, almost the other way around. You have to put a big on Norchad because he's going to kill you on the boards if you don't, except if you're having to cover at the perimeter and chase him
Mhm.
around there. That's a whole other animal. So it's almost like a twist
Yeah.
on what we were doing.
Yeah. Well, you can't replicate last year's team. Every year it's going to be different. That's college basketball, but you got to get whatever pieces you get. You just have to play to your strengths. So I guess it
Okay.
just depends. You know, if an Alan Lubin comes in,
Okay, well,
do
let
we
me ask you the
start
question
him?
this way. Given what we currently have and what we're looking at, either real or mythical, because most of these names have not shown any interest in Miami. Van Allen Lubin actually visited, so he's like a legitimate
Yeah, that's a
person
legit
that
possibility.
might end up on this team.
Yeah.
And Nelson is someone we reached out to, but I think he's going to the NBA.
Well, Nelson hasn't expressed interest in us.
Yeah, but
expressed interest in him.
he's the one who told people like these are the schools interested. You don't say the name unless there's some, because I guarantee you he got
Listed
reached,
like 20 schools.
and I guarantee you it was 70 that reached out to him. Like,
Uh,
there's no way that
Like,
that
I know,
kid, who's
yeah.
by the way, he's going to go probably in the first round of the NBA draft, so he's not going to come out to college. But there's no way that like
Yeah.
every big program in the country wasn't like, dude.
Yeah, sure.
But you know, other than that, these are kind of rumor. These are just kids in the portal we think would fit. But how do you, given what we currently have, tell me a story about how Miami wins the championship next year based on where we're sitting right now?
Play a lot of small ball.
No, but I guess what I'm asking is, you know, given the players we have and who we could potentially bring in.
Just based off what we have now, assuming we don't bring in anybody else.
I think no. What I'm saying is what we have now, and also let's say, like, is Van Allen Lubin, is that enough? Like, I guess that's the question I'm asking.
It's not. I mean, I don't know if it's enough. I mean, if you want to just.
Well, I told you to tell me a story, so tell me a story on how.
Based on how our players played last year, assuming everybody stays the same and nobody gets better.
That's not. Well, no, that's not what I'm asking even, because I don't think anyone ever stays the same, right? But assuming there's like, is there enough improvement to be had within the current roster where, hey, if we get Van Allen Lubin, that gives us enough big man depth because we got Nwoko coming in, AJ Casey's going to get better, that we can actually compete at the highest levels.
I think so. I think
Okay.
Keyshawn George is someone that's going to surprise a lot of people because he's been playing pro in a version of the pros.
Yeah, in France.
In France, and he'll be 20 mid-season. I think he's not your typical freshman come in, and I think you actually see him get some play time, and I think he could play the 3 or the 4, maybe the 4. Casey, I'm going to assume develops more.
I think he's probably the key.
I think Casey developing is the biggest question mark on how far we could go, just as far as having bigs, because we were so dependent on Norchad, and that was kind of our downfall in the Final Four. As far as like the wings and guard play is concerned, I'm not concerned because I think we can have Cleveland on the wing, we can have him as the 4. Wooga's only going to get better. Nigel's going to get better. I think Bensley's offensive game is hopefully going to develop even more. I think the big concern is who are we playing at that 4 or 5 spot, and what do we do there? And that's going to be the biggest factor on how far we can get in the ACC and in the tournament.
Well, the reason I ask because Lubin's the only name that's really. I mean, again, I think Nelson's going to go pro, but Lubin's the only name that's. I mean, he was on campus. He's clearly interested.
Lubin's the only name that we know has visited campus.
And remember, like, how long the Cleveland saga drew out before he finally committed. So he's definitely. I think Lubin's definitely in play. So that's why I was asking the question that way. Like, if he commits, then you got Nwoko, you got Casey, you got Norchad. I guess as your front court players, with Cleveland obviously playing there some as well. Are you comfortable with that? Or do you think we need one more?
I'm not comfortable with that.
Okay.
Because you're basing it a lot on guys that are either freshmen or have 1 year of experience besides Norchad. Because remember, Lubin was only a freshman at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Casey, only a freshman coming into his sophomore year. Nwoko is going to be a freshman. I would like to have some experience, whether it's somebody starting or coming off the bench.
So do you wish we had like kept Anthony Walker or?
Nah, Anthony Walker was not the answer.
Okay.
You
Wow.
need somebody better. Sorry.
So dismissive.
Sorry.
Okay, so
Anthony Walker was a great role player. As far as like we didn't have a lot of height, so he was like our best option to come spell Norchad, and he did the best he could. I'm hoping that one, you either bring in more height to help Norchad, or you bring in someone who's around the same size that can also stretch the floor to give Norchad more room down low, and then vice versa that can also post so Norchad can be outside as well.
So
that's why I like the idea of bringing in a stretch four that can also like someone that can post but can shoot, because it kind of gives you the option to have Norchad doing both of those things as well.
Yeah, I'm looking in the portal and I don't see that player.
No.
And
Has Tyron Lawrence, the Vandy guard?
Yeah, no, he went to Auburn.
Did he commit?
Yeah, Auburn.
Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't even see that. Dang, he stayed in the SEC.
Yeah, I think Ian Martinez is probably. I mean, he hasn't named any list or anything. In fact, but Maryland, like I did some research today, like they were pretty upset he left because they thought he was going to be their starting shooting guard. I think he's definitely someone we should call. He's Costa Rican. So, he's got a one up in Miami.
That would be a situation where you're playing Cleveland at the 4.
I think you're playing small again, and then turning into the skid. Apparently, it's essentially just like, all right.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have any traction on Van Allen Lubin? Like, nothing's been said about him. I haven't seen anything about him like since he visited.
I haven't seen anything either. But again, remember Cleveland. We didn't hear.
But Cleveland released the top 3.
Right, but that was after. I mean, when did he enter? He was like one of the first kids in the portal, and
I think we tried to look it up, but he took it off his IG, so I couldn't.
Yeah, so we don't know exactly when he said Florida State. Thank you, and that he. You can do some live Googling, and while you do that, I'm going to queue up my next question for you. So I know you don't, and I think I'm here with you. Do not want Bensley and Nigel as the starting backcourt because we think it's too small. But absent that, because we got Wooga, we got Nigel, we got Bensley, we got Chris Watson, we got Ja'Kai Robinson.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're pretty good at and Matt and Cleveland can also play the 3. Like, I think that's a pretty deep set of players for 3 positions there. I don't know that other than my aversion to playing Bensley and Nigel together as like the starting backcourt, I feel like talent-wise we're fine there. Because also Keyshawn George can play there.
I don't like Bensley and Nigel as a starting backcourt, and it's nothing against Bensley. It's just it's small. It's really, really small. I don't like it.
I'm just looking at the talent and at that position.
I'm Googling Van Allen Lubin, and the first thing that comes up is like a Notre Dame site that says he's a positionless player, which I disagree with.
No, I think he's positionless in that he's probably a power forward that can't shoot, so he goes and stands next to the basket. His height and his game don't match up, I think is what they mean by positionless. I just don't. So I don't know. I feel like at the guard position we're kind of loaded. And
we are. It's just that I feel like if we stay with what we have now, Bensley's going to start, and it's too small. They're both not 6 feet if they're listed as 6 feet. And I love Bensley. I think he's great. He's going to get plenty of play time. I just don't like both of them.
I guess the reason I'm less worried about it, and I agree, if you can get someone that's like a starting caliber shooting guard, that's great. The reason I'm less worried about it is I think there's no way those two aren't playing together a lot anyway. So if that happens to be at the start, like, why does that make that big of a difference? Like, do you really think they're not going to be on the court together for significant chunks of games?
Well, they're going to be on the court a lot more together if they're starting. I mean,
they were on the court.
I think a big thing, assuming we don't get another guard, is Watson's development, because I've talked about it a bunch of times with you and with other people that follow Kings Hoops, but there's a lot of potential and a lot of expectations on him when he came in. And obviously he didn't get a lot of playing time, but we were loaded at guard. But what he does next year, assuming Bensley starts, Watson could easily be the first man off the bench.
Yeah, no, I think he probably will be. I mean, we need to. I mean, I guess the other cascading effect of Bensley starting next to Nigel is then you got Cleveland at the 4, and that's also very small for a 4. That's smaller than
And
Jordan.
Norchad's already a small 5.
Yeah, so you're kind of just really playing small. Now, I will say, well,
4.
I show me the stretch 4. I will sign the paper. Yes, this is the guy.
Olivier Conwa.
Okay.
Get him from Tennessee.
Okay.
Or Grant Nelson somehow decides not to go to the NBA.
Grant Nelson,
That's a pipe dream.
God. Once I saw he like set the record for that shuttle, was the only one that broke 10 seconds. I'm like, this thing is so over.
But I said it last week. Conwa is like your
I think
stereotypical stretch 4.
I just what I'm I guess mentally prepare ourselves for us not getting another starter.
It is possible. If we're not going to get another starter, we're starting Bensley. We need to get some depth as far as at the 4 and the 5.
Yeah, no, I think that
starters,
needs to happen anyway because you cannot just survive with Cleveland at the 4. Nwoko's a freshman. AJ Casey's got to be.
You can't depend on Casey and Nwoko. You can't.
I think
Casey will take a step, but
I think we have to depend on Casey. Like if he can't play after year 2, like we got a problem. Like he needs to at least be able to. I think last year for him it was someone's got to be the backup big. Like you said, it's either him or Anthony Walker. Let's see if we can survive. He's got to be able to. He's got to be a plus player this year. He doesn't need to be the starter. He doesn't need to be like, wow, this guy's the best player on the team or something. But you need to be able to put him onto the court and have him be a positive, and not, or at least like keep us above water. I think you need to be able to rely on that because you can't do that in 2 years. When's it going to happen? Because I think year 3 is where you expect him. All right, now he should be, one of the best players on the team. But I think at least next year, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say, hey, we're going to rely on him in the rotation. And he needs to not kill. It's kind of like what we did with Bensley this year, right? It's obviously completely opposite position, but you were never worried when Bensley's coming in the game. Like, oh no, Bensley's coming in.
No, because
right? That's where we need to be.
His shooting wasn't great. It's got better through the season, but Bensley comes in. That's a lockdown guard. That's gonna defend their best guard and be elite at it. So.
And that's where I think we need AJ Casey to be this year. We need him to all right, he's coming in. That's fine. We're fine with that.
Defense, yeah. You need him more so to take the fouls from Norchad.
I think it's a
little bit of an offensive game.
I think it's more than that. I think you need to be able to say if this guy's to play 20 minutes, we're fine. If this guy's to play 25, we're fine. Not every game, but like he should be able to do that.
He needs to lessen the dip in play when Norchad comes out. Because last year there was so much of it.
Yeah, no, last year it was like how many minutes
can we that gap?
Like how much of our lead can we lose before we have to put Norchad back in was last year's thing. We can't be playing like that. But I will say,
and also I can't find anything on Van Allen Lubin. Like literally all of his stuff is like, oh, Van Allen Lubin entered the portal, whatever. Yeah. And then there's one article about Gonzaga going after him, and that's it.
I mean, if he wants to go to the Final Four, come to Miami. So
I can't find anything on him. That's what I've been doing. Like I can't. It's nothing. Everything is from like April when he entered the portal.
So the other thing, though, this happened less in the towards the end of the season, except for in the Final Four, it happened again. But Bensley Joseph and Nigel Pack closed a lot of games as a backcourt with
they did
with Zay at the 3 and Jordan Miller at the 4. So again, I'm a little less concerned. Mm-hmm. With that, it does put a lot on Christian Watson, though. You can't. You're going to need him to come in and impact pretty heavily then.
Yeah.
But
I think he does, and he's very tall.
Yeah. If he's 6'7", how tall is he actually? But
and we can't leave out Ja'Kai Robinson either.
Yeah. So that's why I'm almost at the point of like if we can't get a guy who's like a bang on starter, I'm fine with because Keyshawn George is really more of a 3 as well. So I feel like you're looking at quite a bit of depth there and talent it's a little uncomfortable because they're all kind of unknown. Because Keyshawn George is coming in as a freshman. Right, but our starters Robinson didn't play a lot. Yeah, but our 3 starters would be Nigel, Bensley, and Wogo all played a ton.
And Cleveland.
Well, Cleveland would be at the 4. But he would be at the 4.
Cleveland, he didn't play in our system, but he's already proven.
But I'm talking about more from the guard perspective. Like you have those 3, like those are 3 guys that have played a ton. Bensley didn't start, but he finished a lot of games and played starters minutes a lot of the time. There's worse places to be, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I would still love to have a taller guard starting over Bensley. But
Yeah,
it's-
and show me that taller guard, and I again, just like I said, show me the stretch four, show me the start,
I don't know.
show me the
I don't know.
Jordan.
I'm looking at this article
Show me the
as I'm
dingle.
talking to you about like from the beginning of May, saying like the best transfer portal targets left.
Anyone that we haven't talked about? Probably not.
Dingle committed.
Yeah.
They're talking about Bandiogo, which we already we're not in his top. Grant Nelson, Olivier Conwa.
That's your new Cleveland. That is your new. I gotta have this kid. It worked once.
Well, I mean, USC guard Trey White. He's a former top 50 recruit who just finished his freshman season. And then talk about Matthew Cleveland.
Yeah. But let me ask you a question about that, and this can also apply to DeMarco Dunn. Are those players starting over Bensley?
I don't know.
Bensley played significantly in the Final Four last year.
I think we can agree that our main targets right now need to be 4s and 5s, particularly a 4.
I could be talked into a 5 if it's someone. Again, I'm not even worried about the shooting as much as you are. The athleticism. We cannot have a slow plodding.
Yeah, I said last week we can't just have a tree in the middle of the floor.
Good.
Like people are like, oh, he's 7'1", let's go after him. I'm like, if he's just like a tree standing there, it doesn't work. That's why I keep saying stretch 4, because usually the 4s are more athletic than your typical center.
I will say Uday, who cannot shoot, is very athletic. So I think
Conway is my new version of that guy that committed to New Mexico.
Oh my God!
What was his name?
How could you not remember his name? It's Mustafa Amzil. But come on, man.
That's right. Well, you know what? I erased him from.
Wow! You just you're
just.
You figured at least give some love to New Mexico or something. But, yeah.
Oh, why? Because I'm from there.
I mean, you're born there. From is a strong word. From is a strong word.
Broward County.
Yeah, like I was born in Texas. I'm from Miami. So, but yeah, at least you got to remember.
Do we have any viewers still? We've been rambling.
We have a few. People watch us.
People were talking at the beginning and then they just stopped.
Yeah, no, there's still people. There's a view count. It is non-zero.
If any of y'all live in Miami, we're going to be at the baseball game Thursday night.
Yep, the Duke game on Thursday, potentially in the press box, potentially not. Don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
To be determined. Yeah, I guess I'm looking through our list. I think we hit all of our.
Yeah.
There was the one dude from Marshall who listed us, then committed to Mississippi State. I forgot his name.
Yeah, I almost I was about to look him up, and I'm like, wait, I think he committed already. And then I just kept scrolling. I was like, yeah, he committed.
No, I texted you. The white dude actually committed somewhere is what I texted you. Very clear. Yeah. Clear on who I was talking about.
So I'm still pretty set on us getting a stretch 4. I don't know what Van Lubin's gonna do. Van Allen Lubin. I don't know why I keep removing Allen from that thing, and I just keep calling him.
I mean, that's the cool part of the name. He needs the Van Allen. Otherwise, it's
just call him Lubin. It's like I want to say his first name and his last name, and then I just say the first name and last name combined. I can't find anything on him if he's has like.
Which to me is actually maybe a positive sign because Cleveland again did this. Like he had listed 20 schools or whatever. And took a long time before he's like top 3. And then, after he committed, he said the whole time it was Miami, unless someone convinced me otherwise.
Well, Van Allen visited Miami, so that gives me hope that maybe. And again, he was only a freshman. He could be a great piece, whether I don't know that he starts, but an eventual starter down the line.
Well, he also gives us flexibility, right? Like to your point, if we're playing a team,
but he plays a lot like Norchad, so I just feel like landing him would be great because I don't think you would lose as much if, say, Norchad was in foul trouble and you plug in Van Allen.
Yeah, and I think the other thing,
like I said, we don't know how Casey's going to develop, so it'd be a great little piece next to Casey as far as if you need one of them to come in because Norchad's in foul trouble or to spell him. Then you've got multiple options because I assume Nwoko is not going to be playing starter minutes as a freshman.
Yeah, and we generally don't play, like L does not play a lot of freshmen.
Yeah.
The other thing,
like at guard, we've got Bensley, Nigel, you have Watson, Robinson, I think, is more a 3.
I mean, we use the 2 and 3 positions interchangeably, which is
Yeah.
why Loa can slide over.
And then at 3, you've got like Wooga, Keyshawn, Robinson-ish.
Yeah.
And then at 4, Casey, Nwoko, maybe Van Allen.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said on the guard position, I don't know that we're taking anyone else there because that's 6 players that can play three for 3 positions. So
you want to know who won the NBA lottery?
yeah, not if it wasn't Dallas.
No, it was another team in that state. San Antonio won the lottery, so I guess they're getting the Victor Wembanyama sweeps. They just won the however you pronounce his name, sweepstakes.
That franchise won't die. Anyway. That is the Mavericks' biggest rival. But anyway,
yeah, I know that's another in-state. I would say the Heat's biggest rival in state is Orlando, but Orlando's like been irrelevant for a long time.
No, it's not really a rivalry. Anyway, so the
thank you, Edward, for texting me that.
Even after you took a shot at Clemson, that is a true friend.
Who knows? I'm joking. Taking a shot at Clemson is my way of saying hello to him.
Anyway, so we have 6 players potentially for the 3 like guard/wing positions. Like I don't know that we add another one.
And Cleveland can also play the 3.
Right, so that's why I think
we'll
I think it's going to be bigs, and I think the one thing with Lubin is if it does give you flexibility, like you said, if we're playing a bigger team, maybe he starts. You know, if you're playing a smaller team, you can get by with Nigel and Bensley in Cleveland.
Who do you bench if then Lubin starts? Bensley?
It's got to be right. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? The other ones aren't going to the bench unless you want to bench Wooga, which you could potentially do too. I mean,
I really hope that he has a massive breakout junior year, like a lot of people think he's going to, because with Wong not there, he's gonna have the ball.
I do worry about the offensive creation. I think it's putting a lot on Cleveland right now. To be that guy.
I'm not worried about Cleveland's game.
I'm not worried about his game. I'm worried about it all being on him because Nigel can shoot.
No, it won't be.
I mean, Nigel can shoot.
Nigel's going to stretch the floor. You got to have somebody out there guarding him. I think a lot of it comes down to how much progress does Wooga make from sophomore to junior.
I mean, how much do you expect? And you know, we can maybe start to wrap up here a little bit, but how much do you expect out of him? And again, I don't want to just like compare to last year's team, but last year I think our 2 primary. Well, I think yeah, because I think last year our 2 primary offensive initiators are Zay and Jordan Miller. They're both gone. Now I think Cleveland's
got to fill that.
I think Cleveland is going to take a lot of that burden. And then you think Wooga will be able to?
I think Wooga it needs to take a step up.
I think
talks about how, that he has such a high ceiling, maybe a higher ceiling than anybody else that was on the team last season. I think this year is a big year for Wooga.
So you think so you're expecting him to? That's your expectation of him. I agree. I agree what you're saying. It's a big. I agree what you're saying. It's a big year for him, but your expectation is he'll be able to. Like we'll be running the offense through him for a significant chunk of games.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, it'll be interesting to see. I think he's got that ability, but it's such a shift.
He made the jump from freshman to sophomore year. I think this coming year, it's on him more to be more consistent in his offensive game. He can defend, and he's only going to get better defending. He got better and better at defending throughout the year. He became one of our best defenders. I think he needs to be more consistent with his offensive game and kind of develop that Wong mentality as far as like shaking off a bad half. Because like if Wooga starts off bad, you can see it affects him the whole game.
Yeah,
Wong had that ability to come back like in the second half and just be a whole different guy. I think if he can become consistent, he has the ability to shoot threes. He has the ability to shot create and drive. He just needs to be more confident and consistent with it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting transition for him to be relied upon because he was like a tertiary option or whatever, right? The offense.
Yeah, he's not going to be this next season. He's going to be one of our primary options.
Be interesting to see. Jordan Miller, it's hard to remember. He made that same jump, right? Because he was not. It was 2 years ago. It was Charlie Moore. It was Cam Augustine. It was Isaiah Wong, and Jordan Miller was just the other guy. And then he had to step up, and he was able to. So we're going to need Wooga to do that.
Yeah, and I think Bensley is going to have to step up too with his offensive game because we've relied on him mostly defensively.
Well, I mean,
I
here's another question though, right? Like if it's Bensley and it's Wooga and it's Cleveland, those are three really top end defenders. We couldn't defend for crap.
Defensively,
So,
defensively, I think we're going to be very good.
well, I mean,
It's going to be one of those situations like the women's team last year where they held LSU to like their least amount of points in the tournament, but we had no offense. And
yeah.
our biggest question this next season is going to be who's going to be the guys that step up on the offensive end and take control of games. Because defensively, I don't think we're going to have an issue.
Yeah, and
especially on the wing and the guard position.
I mean, it's interesting because I asked earlier about like how is this team better? Maybe it's just better defensively because we were not good defensively last year, and maybe that's where
we talked about it too about adding certain players.
Well, I mean, maybe that's where the improvement was. Like if Casey's able to stay on the floor and play defense because he's a bigger kid, all of a sudden you're able to throw defensive lineups out there and.
Casey needs to hit the weight room. He's very tall but very scrawny.
I mean, I'm sure one off season, I think he'll come back much bigger.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's how the team takes another step is, hey, we don't have to score 80 points to win against good teams, which we did last year.
We can't give up 105 points to Cornell.
Hey, it was a W.
It was. I'm not going to lie. After that game, I was a little nervous. I was like, oh, my God. There's one. I mean, if I could name one thing that I hope we improve on next season, it's keeping leads. I can't deal with this whole.
We had quite a few.
Double-digit leads in the second half, and then we blow it away.
I mean, most of our losses were pretty big leads that we blew. Late in
besides
games.
UConn and Maryland.
Yeah, all the other ones we had. The Duke one at Duke. The Duke ones, we lost them twice. Neither of them we had a big lead.
No. Well, the regular season one, we only lost by like 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, that was one where we had all those shots. Yeah, we had all those shots with less than a minute left and could not get the ball to go in. And that was the one where
the ACC tournament game, we didn't have Norchad.
Yeah.
The FSU loss, we blew like a 25-point lead.
Pitt, we blew a big lead and lost to Pitt. We blew a big lead and lost to NC State, we blew a big lead twice. We blew it in regulation, then Jordan Miller hit the 3 to force overtime, then we blew it again.
But like even some of our wins, we blew big leads and like just
Pitt,
managed
the second Pitt game. But I think part of that's playing defense, right? And if you're
defensively, we're gonna be good defensively.
Well, I mean maybe that is the answer. Then that's how we're better because we can actually defend people because we could not last year, and that hurt us at times.
So I think we agree on we're going to be better defensively, but offensively we need depth at the 4 or the 5.
So if we get your boy here, is that enough? Then do you think we're going to Phoenix?
Conwa?
Yeah.
I would love to get him. Like, listen. He's your stereotypical stretch 4. I think that would be great. I also think he starts. So that's another.
Yeah, I know that. I think he would start.
I don't know if Miami's interested in him at all, but I kind of just become fascinated with one player.
Sometimes with their New Mexico quality.
Van Lubin. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say his name correctly eventually. Van Allen Lubin. I don't think starts.
See, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at this point. I mean,
because both him and Norchad are the same. Neither of them shoot.
I think it would be if we bring in, let's say, another kind of box player, right? Someone that plays in the low block. Either they're starting or Bensley is, and I don't know which way we go with that.
Maybe game by game basis, depending on matchups.
Could be. But I'm not.
Lumen's the only guy that we have a chance with that we know of right now because he took a visit.
I guess what I'm.
All these
just
other
not
players
so sure.
we've mentioned, we have no clue. If they've considered Miami.
Yeah, that's true. But I think I've seen enough of Norchad playing outside of the paint that I think he can do it. It's all just the shot. He does everything else he needs to do. He can handle, he can defend out there. He's very quick for a guy his size.
For sure.
It's just the shooting. And so, What we got?
Got a whole off season to do
Yeah, I
it.
was about to say I was doing the math in my head.
Honestly,
5
that's
months.
what he needs to work on.
Yeah,
But
so
that's what
why,
he needs to work on.
That's why I don't think.
The G League Combine told him that. So
yeah, that's why I don't
if you don't think he's like, not going to be doing that the whole summer, I mean,
because
that's.
I mean,
that's what
I know
you do.
they play completely different positions and different physiques and all that, but Wooga couldn't shoot 2 years ago at all. Kansas turned that game around by being like, we're not covering that guy.
The development of Wooga from freshman to sophomore year was a pretty big jump. I hope that he takes an even bigger jump next season.
Well, I was thinking more about Norchad, and look, if he goes and works on a shot all off season, I don't see why he can't knock down open jumpers.
No,
I think he could be the stretch four.
I mean, the two beefs that like they have against him is that he's too short to play the 5, and he needs to shoot. He can't work on height. That's but I mean, it's literally the one thing he has to do is shoot. It's not like he needs to gain weight. He's muscle. He's pure muscle. He's only like 9% body fat. The one thing he has to do is work on shooting.
Yeah, so that's why I guess what I'm saying is I think he might be your stretch 4.
Yeah. I still would take Kama in a heartbeat. He's even taller than Norchad.
Yeah, but he might be the one playing more around the rim too. I think Norchad has to be given an opportunity to shoot.
Why can't they both be given that? They can all stretch the floor.
Okay, I didn't say they couldn't.
Yeah, we can get a stretch 4 and still have Norchad be a stretch 5.
Wow, you've upgraded to stretch 5s now. Look at this. What has happened?
Well, I'm just saying. I don't know that you necessarily want to count on Norchad to develop I mean, he's going to work on it, obviously, but I don't want to be dependent on that. I would love to be able to plug somebody else in that can also stretch.
So the reason I don't, and I know we've kind of taught this through pretty heavily already, but the reason I don't have a problem with depending on that is we got to depend on something, right? Mm-hmm. Something's going to have to. If you rewind 12 months from now, like 12 months ago, we were depending on a lot. Hey, can this undersized dude from Arkansas State even play in the ACC? Can Wooga shoot at all?
Yeah, I know last offseason where everyone was kind of debating on who was going to be that 5th starter. Yeah. Because you assumed Pack was starting, you knew Amir was starting, you knew Miller and Wong were. And you're like, are we playing in Wooga? Is that what's going to be our lineup?
Right, but that was a big question mark. I'm not even sure that, there was definite question marks about Norchad. In fact, until ACC play started, people were still questioning whether or not he could handle at his height playing in a power conference. And obviously by the end of the year, he's one of the best players in the conference. So,
well, I mean, there's always questions unless you're returning their entire program.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will say on that front, good for them. I'm not worried at all.
You think there's going to be a fall off?
Well, I think they did really well. And frankly, they were a buzzer beater away from making the final. They were also a complete implosion by Frank Haith, assistant coach Memphis, from being out in the first round. I mean, that game was over. And by the way, the officials completely screwed Memphis in that game because they called a jump ball when Memphis had the ball calling timeout, and no one on FAU even had a hand on the ball. Otherwise, they're out in the first round, and what are we talking about now? So, but that's the tournament, right? That's the tournament and the nature of it. But I think make a mistake thinking, they're just going to continue to. I don't know. I'm not worried about them.
Miami's the best team in Florida.
Oh, that's not even a question. I'm not even being a homer. It's not even a question.
No.
If you ask anyone who the best team in Florida, it's going to be Miami. And so, but I guess in terms of question marks that we need answered, I feel like we have less, even with the current roster as constructed now, than we did 12 months ago.
I think we have more pieces than we had last offseason.
I think right now we can
run. Yeah, we had a deeper bench than the season before, but I think once the season gets going, we're going to realize that our bench is actually deeper than it was last season.
Right. And
assuming everybody develops.
I guess the reason I think we're ahead of where we were last year at this time in terms of known commodities is we have 5 players right now we can roll out there and start.
Well, 4 of them were on the team last year that either started or was the 6th
right.
man.
And the other one, and the other one, to the point I was making, is 5 players that have proven they can play at a very high level in the ACC, because the 5th starter did so at another school. So
And beat us.
let's not pick the scab on that. One of us flew down to Miami to watch that game. I'm gonna go to one home game this year. Oops.
Yeah, right.
But anyway,
no, our starting wise, we have a lot of experience. Height wise.
Yeah, I feel like I'm comfortable with where we are. I'm comfortable with saying, hey, Norchad's got to shoot better. Like I think he can do that. I think Wooga can take a step. Yeah, go ahead.
Were you comfortable with the team prior to the Cleveland commit?
No, I think we needed one more at least, and I think
So
now
Cleveland put you over the top as far as like, okay,
well,
we can run with this
well,
team.
I think I think anyone would love to be like, oh, we have all these guys we know for sure, and we don't need to worry about players developing. That's not realistic. Like players are gonna have to develop. I think Nigel can get better. I think Wooga, like you said, can become more of a primary scorer, and I think Norchad can develop a shot. Like I don't think those are stretches in terms of they're not stretch fours, but they're not stretches in terms of saying, hey, can this player improve that much? And
I think we should go after Supreme Cook.
I mean, I wouldn't give him minutes, but he can be on the roster. We got room. We got room. We got room. I know.
I saw the name and I was just like, oh, Vish, look at this guy. Like,
yeah, no.
So I'll give you this. With the current state of the men's and women's rosters right now, with just what we have right now, assuming we don't get anybody else, who goes further next year?
I still think it's the men.
Really?
And I'll say that is because the women's game is more competitive at the top end. There are teams out there that are just insane.
LSU, Iowa, South Carolina.
Yeah, that it's
UConn's going to be back. They have injuries.
So it's so draw dependent for the women, whereas men's basketball is there's so much more parity that like I mean,
okay, so all right, so let me change the question a little bit. Assuming we start the season next year with the rosters as they currently are,
right?
Where do you think each team finishes within the ACC, and how far do you think each team can get to the tournament? In the tournament,
in the ACC or the NCAA tournament?
And the NCAA tournament, yeah.
Good question. Man, there's gonna be some tough ones here. So I think right now the men are either the best or the second best team in the ACC. I know everyone's high on Duke, but F them. And then on the women's side,
I was going to say top 3, top 4 for the men.
I think again, I'm not that big. I'm not nearly as big of a believer in Duke as other people are because we played that team this year with an injury in that first game. Like, quite frankly, the officials did what they always do when you play at Duke, and it really cost us. They called 4 fouls on Jordan Miller in the last 3 minutes and fouled him out of the game. And and when we played them at home, we obliterated them. I don't.
But you have to respect the fact of like all the people that they're bringing back.
I don't have to respect anything about that program.
Okay, so you think we're a top 2 team?
I think we're right there. I think we're right there with Duke on the men's side. I think on the women's, I think on the women's, I think Virginia Tech's got the best team. I mean, after
Louisville,
that,
I think takes a hit because they lost to Van Lith.
Yeah, and they were slipping the last couple of years anyway. I think after that, we're probably right in there. I think we're probably top. Notre Dame's really good, but I think we're right there too. I think Virginia Tech's a little bit. We'll see. I mean, if
so you think we could be for a top 3 spot in the ACC?
Yeah, I think in both sides. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And then the NCAA tournament's so hard to say. I mean, I think. We
throw out a guess. I mean,
I'll say the women will at least make the Sweet 16 because I think we're going to play at home the first 2 games.
Okay.
And I don't think we're going to lose at home.
And then it just depends on the draw.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could get back to where we were last year. I mean, we could make it to Cleveland. It does depend on the draw. We did beat a 1 seed in a row this year. I've never been to Ohio. What have I done in Ohio? I've driven through it. I don't know that I got out of the car.
I haven't been to the Midwest.
I did business school in Pittsburgh, so I was in that area.
So I said on another show on Miami Flow's network that after the Final Four that I think the men's team at least makes the Elite 8 next year. And I said this about 3 days after the end of the tournament. Because I have that much faith in Coach L and the transfer portal and all these different things and him developing players that I think we get at least to the Elite Eight next year.
So I think they can easily be in Phoenix with the current roster. Because I do expect players to get better. Like you said, that I think that's part of the faith in Coach L stuff. I think players will improve. I would say they have more upside because you're much less likely to run into a team that just overwhelms you, which can happen in women's basketball.
Yeah.
But
I just hope we're not an 8 or a 9 seed next year.
I think it'll be a pretty. I will say
those 1 seeds in the second round.
Well, I think just to be honest, I'm sure Coach would agree with this. We kind of deserved those. Like we fumbled a lot of games the last 2 years we shouldn't have, and we were playing much better at the end of the season than we were at the beginning. That's going to be another key. Like the women need to get off to a good start. So they're not in that 8-9 range because I expect them to.
So you think women at least a Sweet 16, and then it depends on the draw, and then men, you're thinking we have a good chance of getting to the Final Four again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I actually think the women's team might be overall better than the men's team, but it's just the women's sport is more competitive at the top end.
Katie Meyer killed it with bringing in transfer portal ladies to fill out the roster with how many people we lost. And then assuming our bigs stay healthy, I think we have a really great, well-rounded team. So there's definitely a lot of potential there for the Lady Canes to be really good next year. You got to assume that they're going to mesh well with the players we brought in. But like we lost so many guards in shooting. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Like, oh my God, we lost 7.
We lost 7 players.
Yeah. But we lost so much of our shooting, and then the next week it's like, oh, transfer, and it's 4 people that are all guards or 3 that can all shoot. Like she killed it in the portal, and then we got 2 point guards coming in the 2024 class that are great shooters too. Like, I don't think we have any high school commits coming in this year.
Nope.
But all of the 3 of the 4 transfers we brought in all have more than a year of eligibility.
Yeah, no, we're set up really well to continue sustain success.
And then our bigs are all like only going to be like sophomores.
Yep. Yeah, no, there's a lot.
If they stay healthy.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's
to be excited about.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot to be excited about with the women, assuming that the transfers that come in gel well, and I think they will, especially it's to the point now where it's just like, who are we starting at the 1 and the 2? Because we have so many guards that could easily start that you got to wonder who's starting. So, and that's a great problem to have. And that's so different from like once the season ended and we saw who was leaving, we're like, oh my God, we don't have any guards or shooting. Who's going to play? So the next week it's like, oh, here's 4 girls that could all easily start, and boom.
Yeah, no, I think the team is going to be really good. It's going to be a fun season for the women. I think they're going to win a lot of games. They're going to beat a lot of good teams, and then I think they're going to host the first 2 games. And I think there's definitely potential to get to Cleveland.
Me and Vish will be at those first rounds of the tournament in Miami, if that's the case.
Yeah, that'll definitely be cheaper for me than what I did this year.
It'll be cheaper for me too. I don't have to pay for a hotel or a flight. And then my friend Nate lives in Phoenix, so if we make the Final Four, I'm going to be like, yo, let me sleep on your couch.
Is there a floor next to the couch? Because I'll do that.
Air mattress.
There we go. But we're only going to be there for a day because we're going to be ping ponging between Cleveland and.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, let me just sleep on your couch, because I don't like. Why pay for 1 day of a hotel? I just need like a few hours of sleep, and then hit up the game, fly to Cleveland, watch that game, fly back to watch the finals.
I wonder if there are red eyes. Are there red eyes from Phoenix to Cleveland?
Well, these are things we'll have to look up.
Because I feel like that saves you a hotel room too, because you're flying in the middle of the night. So sleep on the plane.
Got to pack a lot of comfy hoodies for the flights there.
Big weather differences.
Phoenix and Cleveland, yeah.
It's gonna be a tough pack.
No, what you do is you just pack like comfort. Like I just pack like t-shirts and like.
I feel like your solution to everything is to wear a hoodie anyway.
And then if it's cold, I'll just throw on a hoodie. I mean, right now I'm just wearing basketball shorts and a hoodie. For the Final Four, I just had sweatpants and a shirt, so just rolled with that.
Yeah, but it was Houston. It was warm, and you were coming from Miami. It's a little.
But no,
plus,
I pack the same thing, but just pack a couple extra hoodies for Cleveland.
so well, when I was in Albany, it was in the teens and it was snowing, and a hoodie wasn't gonna cut it.
Well,
I had to layer. I had to
you
layer.
don't walk around. You don't walk around outside much, and then hopefully for these Final Fours next year, assuming we go, I will book earlier so that I don't have a hotel that's like 40 minutes away.
Yeah, I mean, how are you gonna book earlier? You don't.
You book on a site that gives you 24-hour free cancellation, and you book before the game, and then you just cancel it if you lose.
You have little faith.
I also didn't book the men's one until the next day. That was my problem because I was waiting for other friends to decide if they were going or not, and I got sick of waiting, so I just told Nate and the guys I was going to go with them. And so by the time I did that, which was like the next afternoon, so much stuff. And then like your hotel that you stayed at, I almost stayed at, but they wanted a 4-day stay, at least a 4-night stay. And I'm like, I'm not paying for all of this. So that's how I ended up where I was. But it was a super nice hotel.
Yes, I saw the outside of
Like
it. Which
my
is
window was like the lobby.
Oh, so was mine.
It was very weird how they set it up. Like you didn't look into the outside, like the window.
Because that's like an old that's like an old school design of like that used to be like the height of elegance was you're in the room but you're open, like your window is like overlooking the lobby so you kind of see everything out there. It's supposed to be like a grand entrance because you're seeing like
it was noisy because I was on the corner too, so I heard everything.
I didn't hear anything in mine, but they probably have double pane windows because it's by the airport. Anyway. I think we pretty much
we pretty much stayed on a basketball topic the entire time.
I know it's gonna be harder to edit in a way.
I mean, you can do like women's, men's, and then like a kind of a miscellaneous predictions.
Yeah, no, we can. I'll be able to chop it up somehow to split it up.
Oh, and if you happen to still be watching this, we actually have a new outro as well.
Yeah, no, there are people still watching this, believe it or not. So
we do have a little outro clip that we made as well with my great advice for wearing socks.
I mean, why'd you have to spoil it? Like, come on, spoiler alert.
So what are we doing next week?
What is your work schedule? I'm here, so. By the way, chat while you look up your work schedule, which I have somewhere, but I don't know it off the top of my head. Canes are up 11-3 on FIU in baseball. That's gonna be
so Monday or Wednesday next week. I'm off. Probably Wednesday. Is Matt back from his honeymoon by Wednesday?
Good question. We might finally be able to get the crew together.
Yeah, I'm gonna say tentatively our next show will be Wednesday.
Yeah,
are you still here on Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm here for like another 2 weeks. I'm like literally going to DC for.
Should we do the box of crap next week if Matt's not available?
We can do the box of crap. Let's hopefully get some commit news. We actually spent 2 hours on basketball this week, so that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, we talked about predictions and random players that I like. If Conwell releases a list of his tops and Miami's in it, I'm gonna be like,
there's an hour and a half of content right there by itself. But yeah, no, I'm literally just going back to DC tomorrow and coming back Thursday. I'm here until like the 30th.
Yeah, if anyone's
in Miami, for like a couple of weeks,
hit up the baseball game Thursday night. You'll see me, Vish, and Jazz walking around.
Yep.
Drinking milkshakes.
Jazz won't do the milkshake, but
why not? Trying to lose weight?
No, it was more. It doesn't agree with him. Which by the way, I think he psyched me out because when I had a milkshake last year, it was not a fun time that night. And I don't have a lactose.
Don't give bad press to the milkshake stand.
Oh, I don't. Man, Mark Lake Shade follows me on Twitter. Relax, we're friends.
I don't know if they follow me. I have no idea.
I don't know. I actually cover.
They might on Instagram.
I mean, I cover the baseball team, so like a lot of the baseball account. Although the baseball account will not follow anyone because they actually pretty cool, but they followed exactly 305 people. So it's like 305 followers, and then they only they drop ad, keep it at 305, which you gotta respect. Okay. But yeah, no, a lot of all like the side baseball. I know who runs the baseball anyway, and the other ones follow me. The Maniac follows me. Good times.
If you guys have any players you want us to talk about, either tweet at us or DM us, and we'll definitely talk about them at some point.
Yeah, so we'll probably be back Wednesday or Monday. Or
three of us.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Let's see what we got there.
Maybe we'll do it. You have the baseball show on Wednesday?
Sometimes it's on Wednesday. This week we did it yesterday because I can't do it tomorrow. I have the F1 show on Wednesdays. We could actually even do it
Start a
after.
little earlier.
Well, we could do it after because the F1 show's at 8 to 9. That might work out better for Matt with his California leanings.
Yeah, but we'll interfere with Three Live Kings on Wednesdays, and I like watching that show at 9.
You barely pay attention to this show anyway when you're doing it.
What?
I don't even know at this point.
You're crazy. No, I'd rather do it earlier so I can watch Three Live Kings.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Anyway,
all right.
Next week
Watch
there will
the
be a
outro,
buckets.
everybody.
There'll be a buckets next week. See ya.
And if you missed the intro, go back and watch it.
Yep. Hey, stick around
All right.
backstage for a second. But anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Peace.
See ya.
Don't cry.
We getting buckets.
Keep it chill.
Yeah, baby.
Wear good socks.
Buckets.